This legislation is a reform of the entire housing finance system of the United States, which is right now completely broken. People will recall that we've gone through a housing crisis, and that as a result of that crisis, the two housing giants that literally dominate the housing system, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, essentially collapsed and were taken into government conservatorship, where the taxpayers ultimately ended up bailing them out with about $180+ billion. As a result of that action, the United States government now basically owns and operates Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac as government institutions and dominates the housing market. This is creating a disincentive for private sector market activities and private capital, and results in the taxpayers being in the first loss position with regard to any future downturns in the housing market, as the government literally runs the housing market at this point in time. Because of that, Senator Johnson and I agreed that we need to wind down Fannie and Freddie and terminate them and move to a new system, a system which we have set up in our legislation that will ultimately terminate Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and put private sector capital in front of the taxpayer to protect against future housing downturns. We will establish very strong underwriting standards so that mortgages in the future will not push us into housing crises like the toxic mortgages of the past did. And we will provide that before any taxpayer involvement in protecting the marketplace is engaged, that there be at least 10% capital put in up front to take the first level of risk. What this means is, when you do the analysis, that in our current climate, in the current market that we have, we could go through a crisis that is 2.5 times as bad as the one we just went through before any kind of risk to the U.S. taxpayer would come forward. This will ultimately result in a much more robust private sector mortgage system, one in which private capital makes the decisions about which products to issue and what mortgages to